At 11 o'clock on this, the 11th day of the 11th month, your school will be observing a minute's silence. At this moment, 102 years ago, the guns fell silent across Europe, following the armistice, or peace agreement, that was signed between the Allies and Germany, ending the First World War. By the end of the First World War, 23 million soldiers had been wounded, and between 15 and 22 million had been killed. Taken together with the civilian deaths, estimated to have been between 6 and 13 million people, World War I was one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. Soldiers from every continent fought and died in some foreign field for their country, their king, the world power to which their own country was allied, and also for their friends with whom they shared the privations and suffering of battles and the dread-filled times in between. The opening lines of the World War I poem, In Flanders Fields, refer to poppies growing among the graves of war victims in a region of Belgium. And Anna Guérin, a teacher from France, started to sell poppies made by French widows and orphans as a way of raising money for the families of fallen soldiers. And in the years that followed, for many in some parts of the world, including my own, the poppy became a symbol to honour the sacrifice of those that had been killed and a reminder of the horror that must not be repeated. Indeed, it was meant to have been the war to end all wars. But only 21 years later, the world once more erupted as global and regional rivalries flared up and despotic national leaders took their chance to settle scores and to destroy races and nations. Since the Second World War, armed conflict has continued to be a feature of the modern world, and most of the wars that have been waged since and are being fought today can trace their origins to the Second World War and the reordering of the world that followed once the war had ended. The Oslo Peace Research Institute has estimated that in 2017, 69,000 people were killed as a direct consequence of state-based armed conflict. And although the numbers of people dying in wars have generally declined since the World War period and the years immediately following it, the number of conflicts has risen, and the victimization of civilians, very often deliberately, has become a persistent feature of modern conflict. Many of you will have family members and friends with experience of this, and some of you may have been directly or indirectly affected yourself. On the 30th of November, we will be marking Commemoration Day, in which the sacrifice is honoured of the martyrs, the soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the United Arab Emirates, who have given up their lives to help secure peace for their country, its citizens, residents, and the world beyond. Many countries are currently taking part in, or are hosting armed conflicts. And although many hold to the view that there is such a thing as a just war, a war that despite its cost can be justified as the lesser of two evils, all peace-loving people long for a time when war no longer has a place in the world. Please join your teachers and staff and fellow students in a minute's silence at 11 o'clock this morning. A minute to think of the loss and sacrifice and of our hope for a more peaceful world.